To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Sean the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house, my very haunted house. Been quiet today. I think the spirits are still a little hungover over the holiday season, and that's cool. It's been nice and quiet. I missed you guys. I know it's only been a week, but last week was my first show back of 2022. And I'm just telling you all right now, 2022 is going to rock, and you're all personally invited by me to come along for the ride. So, and I also want you to know you guys can be a part of the show anytime you want. If you want to send in a question, we try to get to it. Show's only an hour long, so I'm going to quit babbling, but sometimes I get into such a great conversation with my guest, I tend to not get to the questions as promptly as I should. So please forgive me for that. So let's get right to it. Let's see who's in the prayer urn today. This is a good one. Peter C. from California, and this is a very special gentleman. Peter has been suffering for many, many years with demonic attachments. And without airing too much of his dirty demonic laundry on air, um, about as close as you get to full possession um, without actually being gone. Anyway, he just recently recovered from full deliverance. I personally wasn't there to assist physically on the deliverance, but the Exorcist network that I participate with, many of us around the world for that matter, were in deep meditative prayer at the time we knew the exorcism was taking place, and it was successful. And Peter's doing real good. And I know Peter, if I picked his name today, wanted me to offer up a couple of prayers for him and his new best friend, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus and God and the Holy Family and all that. So let me find a good one for him. Okay, these are good ones. Name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, I firmly believe that you are present within me as God and man to enrich my soul with graces and to fill my heart with the happiness of the blessed. I believe that you are Christ, the Son of the living God. With deepest humility, I adore you, my Lord and God. You have made my soul your dwelling place. I adore you as my Creator, from whose hands I came and with whom I long to be with forever. Amen. Everyone, please keep Peter in your prayers. Many of you that have been through something like that know. Many of you that don't know. Um, that sort of ordeal stays with you all your life. You have to keep praying, keep devout, keep going to church, keep going to confession, keep going to communion. And if you're a Christian, get baptized again in the holy water, start attending services, join a prayer group, a Bible study group, whatever you have to do to keep all the, you know, dot all the T's, cross all the I's, or vice versa. Keep all the windows shut, keep the wolves at bay, because they never completely go away and they keep watching and they wait for that weakness, an opportunity to come back in. And if they come back in, it's not good. Okay, let's move on from Peter. God bless you, Peter. Good luck to you, brother. Reach out to me anytime. Let's check the mailbag. Okay, we got the Ghost Be Gone mailbag. Who's in there? Eric W. from Texas. He wants to know, I guess he means me. How did I get into this field? Eric, that's a great question. I'm asked it all the time. Um, The deliverance ministry, I got drug into that kicking and screaming, literally. I didn't wake up one day and say, I want to be an exorcist. It's a calling. That's something that God lays in your lap and calls you to do. As far as the paranormal field, I've been seeing spirits since I was a young boy. So that was a no brainer to start ghost busting when I was like 10. So there's a lot of paranormal history in my background, but now I'm a baptized Catholic, but ordained exorcist through a Christian university, and that's what I do now. I'll add this to it. I know in my heart and in my soul that I was actually created to do this and be on this exact path that I'm on now. And tell you what, you can find out the rest of the story in my book. How's that for a shameless plug? Having said that, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, you can go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there, keep in mind my wife and I do not charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you're able to do so, I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and I assure you we will put it to good use. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor, intuitive coach. If you're having issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and we'd like to speak to the Rev about that, there is a page there called Spiritual Advisor where you can make an appointment to speak with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. And on that page, you'll find the Ghost Store. And in the Ghost Store, you'll find a lot of cool stuff to buy if you like that kind of stuff. But scroll down to the bottom of that page, and you will find my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books and my publisher. But please don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. I like to refer to it as a very different kind of feel good story. A lot of good versus evil where good wins. But if you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, pick up a copy. Part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to do something really good too, along with getting a piece of me. My blood, sweat, and tears went into writing that book, so you get a piece of me. You can get it two ways, a little less expensive at Amazon, or you can get an autographed copy enclosed in a house blessing kit through the website. Scroll a little further down and you will see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I am a founding member. I offer a 12-week online course, college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is a course for all of the true warriors for Christ that feel a true calling to the deliverance ministry. No, it's not going to teach you how to be an exorcist. But what this course will do is give you the knowledge necessary to draw your line in the sand, make a stand, circle the wagons, and put up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. All of my students that graduate get a stunning diploma suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly, the Rev. So you can sign up for the course there at the website, or if you want to read a little bit more about it before making that type of commitment, there's a worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page. You can go there and read a little bit about the course. Most importantly, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Thank you. What else do I want to tell you guys? Um, my guest today is a very special woman, spiritually gifted woman, an exorcist, a light healer. Everybody that knows her loves her. I love her. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but we do have history. We met in person over the holiday season, worked on a very special project together. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget her. I plan to continue to bug her and pick her brain and be her friend as long as she'll have me. And I'm going to bring her on right now. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only Rita Strugala Lagrow. Rita, are you with us?
I am. Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me.
You know what? I love your face. I love you. I respect you. I'm so happy that you're here. You took an hour out of your busy, and I know you're busy, but you took an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon to spend with me and my viewers. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Um, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but you know what? I tried this last week. I didn't do a very good job of it. Whenever I announce who's going to be on my show, all sorts of people, fans and followers of the guest, and people that have watched the show for a while, they start sending me in questions for the guest because, and I think the reason why that happened was I'm not really great at taking the questions during the show. I try to get to them afterwards, but I'm not really great at doing that during the show. So I think people they smartened up. They started sending me questions ahead of time. So I'm going to try and get to those first before I get into something personal I want to ask you, and then I know uh, we're going to go off into a completely different direction, and I'll forget the questions. Well, you know what? Having said that, I am going to ask you a personal question first, and only because earlier in the green room you had texted me something pertaining to this. So I'm going to ask, how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's?
Christmas was wonderful. It's a very special time for us, as you know, and it was just my mom and myself, and it was quiet, but it was beautiful. It was, it's the Lord's birthday. How can you not love that? So it was great. And I worked on New Year's Eve and I worked New Year's Day. So I mean, it was fine. It was fine. But Christmas is always a very special time for me. How was yours?
It almost sounds like you and I spent it together. It was very quiet. It was just my wife and I, and it was just quiet. It's very also a very special day for me and for my wife. She's a Stevens minister through the Lutheran Church,
Awesome.
so it just a very special day. She got to go and see some of her family. She's got a son and two daughters,
Nice.
and she had went and spent some time with them, so that was great. And her mother's still alive. Her mother's I think 106.
God bless her.
Yeah, so she got time to talk to her mother, who lives in
Yeah.
Arizona, and life couldn't be better. But I meant every word I said at the beginning of the show that uh, one of other than the project we worked on being
Mhm.
very special, and I can't wait for the world to see
Me
it.
too.
But you were for me definitely a bright spot for me during that whole ordeal, and I just really enjoyed working with you. And I hope it's not the last time that we get a chance to work together.
I hope not too. It was very special, and I feel very close to you. You're so down to earth and so easy to talk to, and I know why your fans and everything love you. I mean, who couldn't?
If only they knew. Um, oh my gosh. Okay, let's get to some fan questions. Well, I already talked to you about the project.
Hmm.
Um, okay, I'm going to ask you. My discernment's just telling me to ask you this question, so I can't fight with discernment. It's discernment fans. Here's my next question. There's some things. Just recently, I had a really down to earth, heart to heart talk with my publisher who knows that I left a lot out of my first book because I didn't want it to look like War and Peace on the shelf, which is a turnoff. Nobody wants to buy this huge book. She talked me into, I swore I would never do it again, but she talked me into getting started on my next book. And this is the first time I'm going to share this. I'm going to share it with you. Well, you know about the incident with my statue that I brought.
Yes.
Um, but a lot more happened to me in that hotel room than I wanted to share, especially as we were getting started on the project, because I didn't want to freak everybody out. And we were
Right.
already experiencing our fair share of some odd things happening,
Mhm.
so I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. I'm going to put that in the book, and I already told my publisher that the book's not going to be able to come out until after everybody knows about the project because
Right.
it is what it is. But there's some things I'm going to share on there. But what I did find about that project we worked on, it was such a release for me to dig deep and pull some scabs off of some old wounds and
Yeah.
revisit some memories that um, needed to happen. It was a very releasing of built up spiritual baggage. Um, how was the experience for you, and did you feel what kinds of things did you feel, good, bad, or indifferent, or any type of spiritual release, or how 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 did the project affect you?
I I had I had to, I don't want to say dreams. I had, I guess, some discernment before I went out there, as to what some of it would be like, and it happened. Can't really, go in on it, but there was a lot of stuff that I knew once we all got into the same room, that being the spiritual leaders that we are, that of course the dark ones would not want us all getting together and doing anything together, because so much light together, the darkness can't penetrate the light. Light penetrates darkness. And I knew there was going to be a big thing like that, and we discovered some of that while we were there. For me, it was a relief. This it had been a long journey on this project just to get to that point. So having got there, and to work on it, like with you and with the others, and that was, it was a great release. It was a relief. It was wonderful. I mean, it was more than I really anticipated. And like you, it did. It brought me back. I don't know about you, but it really made me think about things I hadn't thought of in years. Um, it I The camaraderie and just everything we experienced, was just such a positive experience that I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait till we can tell people about it. But it brought me way back into when I was young. Oh my gosh, I guess I was like 5 when I had my first paranormal experience. Hadn't thought about that in years and years, but it's things like that that came back to me during this. And I could see it with different eyes than I have before. I guess because I'm older and I've experienced more, so I had more. I guess what I thought, maybe I figured out more about it, but it was very thought provoking. It was a wonderful experience. I will never forget it, and I will always cherish it. It was a big deal to me. It really was.
Well said, and I'm with you 100% on all of that. I'll tell you what, as much as I don't travel well and I don't
I don't
travel
either.
often, but as much as I missed my wife and my dog and being home because I'm a homebody,
Me too.
I found myself at the end of the week almost not wanting to leave and come home. And on the way home, I was already missing all of you and missing everybody else that was involved. And it was just you're right, incredible feeling. It doesn't matter to me, what happens at this point. It's something that I think we're all going to be able to look back on many years from now and be proud of,
Yeah.
regardless of what happens with it. And I'm going to do another bad thing here. I'm not even going to look down at the questions yet because once I do, I'll try and stick with them. But I want to ask you about that because you and I, many people in our field don't have a paranormal background. They have more of a testifying to the glory of God type revelations in their life that bring them to being in the deliverance ministry. But having a paranormal background like you do you mind sharing a little bit of that experience when you were a young kid? Because I do know I get a lot of
Not at
parents that reach out to me whose children are either gifted and they don't know how to handle that
all.
or are experiencing the paranormal and they don't know how to handle that. And God forbid if there's anybody young, I like to make my show available for everybody. But if there's some youngins watching that are having some issues, maybe something that you share or you say may help them.
Okay, sure. No, I don't mind at all. When when I was young, we were very poor growing up, and it was my mom, my dad, my brother, and myself. And we lived when I was 5. I remember, I will never forget this. When I was 5, we lived in what they call a double bungalow kind of house. And I was up in Minnesota, and that's where I grew up. And my brother and I, we shared a room when we were real little. And I remember this was, I was either 4 or 5. I'm not sure which. I think it was 5, but I'm not positive. But it was like in August. It was really hot. It gets really hot, and people don't know that either. That it really does get hot in Minnesota in the summer. Everybody thinks it snows all the time, but no, it was really really hot. We didn't have any air conditioning. We were very poor growing up, and we had one box fan that we would use. And mom and dad would put us to bed. Mine was over by the window. My brother's was over by the door, and they would put the fan, the big box fan, in the doorway so that we could go to sleep at night because it was so hot and still, and it I'd go to sleep. When they would go to bed, then they would take it out of our doorway because we were supposedly sleeping, and they would put it in there so that they could sleep. So that was the normal routine. Well, one night, it was in August. I'm not even sure if I could tell time yet. I know it was very late. My parents had been in bed for quite a while, and I knew that because they took the fan away, and that woke me up. And so I was having trouble going back to sleep. I was so hot and sweaty, and just trying to hoping for a breeze to come through that window. And I heard footsteps. I heard them coming down the hallway towards the bedroom here. And that didn't surprise me. My parents oftentimes would get up in the night and they'd come look in on us, make sure we were okay. And, so it wasn't no big deal. And I sat there looking at the doorway, waiting for my mom or dad to show up. And it stopped. The footsteps stopped right where the middle of the doorway would be. And I couldn't see anything. And I remember my heart started pounding, and I started being afraid because it's like, why can't I see? And so I sat there. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. I was scared to death to move. And I was just watching that spot, just like, why can't I see them? And I don't know how long. It felt like forever, but I know I sat that way for a really long time, just afraid to move. Well, I never heard any footsteps more or anything. So I started to relax. About that time, I heard an extremely loud woman's voice say, "You kids stay out of my piggy bank money." Okay, first of all, didn't even know what a piggy bank was. I just knew. I was absolutely terrified. I dove under the covers and I was just terrified. I couldn't move. I was so scared. And I kept waiting for my mom and dad to come running down the hall. How could you not hear that? How could my brother still be asleep right there by the door? Nobody came. Never heard the footsteps walk away. Didn't hear another thing. I was absolutely terrified. And I remember the next day telling my parents about it. And of course, they just, "Oh, it was your imagination. You just had a dream." We moved about 2 weeks after that. They never did bring it back up. They never did say why we moved or anything like that. My parents didn't believe in that kind of stuff. The only thing that I could really take out of that was that whatever that was, it was meant for me to hear. The others did not hear it. So therefore, it was not for them to hear. I don't know what it was. I do know after that, it terrified me to a point that I shut all my gifts down. I shut it down for years and years. Couldn't get any kind of psychic anything. And I was okay with that. But the one thing and I'm wondered to even to this day if this isn't why it occurred, was because that put me on the path that I am on today. It terrified me, yes, absolutely. But it also piqued my interest. I wanted to know, how could these things happen? Why does this happen? What was it? How does this, you know, that's what really got me. So I remember going into our library as a kid, and I was looking for books on ghosts. At that time, I'm 57. At that time, you either got books about Casper the Friendly Ghost, or the only other thing I knew of was Hans Holzer had books out. And so I would get my hands on anything I could read and just trying to get more information. And as like you, I was really surprised to hear that about you. Like you, when I was 11, I started my first group, my first paranormal group. And it was just me and my girlfriend, in the neighborhood kind of thing. And we would just, go down to that, building down there that was empty or whatever and pretend we were hearing stuff or whatever. And then by the time I was 16, I actually started my own true paranormal groups, and I've had them ever since.
You know what's incredible about that is now there's two rules of thought here. Both could be wrong, both could be right. Uh, I'm the first one to always admit that I know I don't have all the answers and I'm not an expert.
Me either.
And you and I are going to be having this same conversation in heaven one day, and we're going to laugh about all the things we didn't know when we
Absolutely.
were down here. For me, that's part of what keeps my passion going in the field is the unknown and not knowing and
Yeah.
the new things you learn every day. You mentioned Holzer. I know behind me on the door I have a cult classic original print poster of an old movie called Amityville 2: The Possession, which is actually it's a prequel, even though they call it Amityville 2, but it was a prequel. It's about the DeFeo family,
Yes.
and I didn't know. After all of these years, I didn't know that the movie was actually based on a book written by Holzer called A Murder in Amityville.
I did
I
not
didn't.
know that either.
Yeah, all these years I didn't know that. So, um, on your theory about how many times I could never tell, I couldn't come out with a correct number on how many times. I mean, I've been in groups with people at haunted locations and had just one person get a smell or one person hear something or
Yeah.
only one person get touched. And I think there's a mixture of either that person, I used to think it was just the spirit is doing that purposely and honing in on the person that's gifted. And that person who's receiving all that stuff is the gifted one. But I also thought maybe the spirit, um, he just, I don't know if they are able to just do that or it takes somebody gifted. That's why I've always loved to have true gifted psychic mediums on the team um, to hone in on that. Sometimes you have this equipment, and like one camera will pick something up and another camera won't, and they're aimed at the same area. Or you get one recorder pick something up, another recorder or the audio from a camera right there on, but doesn't pick up.
Yeah.
All of that stuff I find so amazing,
Yeah.
and I don't. Do you have any theories on that? Why you heard that and your brother didn't? Well, we already know that you're gifted, but
I
the
I kind of think that maybe the reason why was because this was supposed to be my path. It's not my brother's path. It's not my mother or father's path. And they didn't even particularly want me on this path. And I'll be absolutely honest with anybody that asks, I didn't want to be on this path. Not at all. And when things, after 37 years of doing paranormal work, if I thought that there was a case that had an actual demonic presence, I would go out of my way to find someone who was qualified to deal with that. I never felt qualified for that, and I didn't want anything to do with it. All my life, it terrified me. I did not want anything to do with that part of the paranormal. And when the Lord made it clear that that was the direction he was pushing me to go in, I fought it tooth and nail. I did not want anything to do with that. But I think that's why. I think it was the very first starting of me going on that path. That was the whole piquing my interest to keep me out there and keep me going. What happened after that was, like you said about if I have any theories on that. Well, after that happened, okay, my gifts were still pretty much closed when I was doing a good part of the paranormal work. However, the more, of course, I think you've probably found this too. The longer you are around that stuff, the more sensitive you get to it. And it was coming out, it was reopening mine. And I have got some of the most amazing pictures by anybody's that anybody who's seen them anyway has said, I cannot believe you've caught this kind of stuff all the time. But then my question went to, why does my camera see this, but I can't? I could get you the most crazy, clear pictures of all the things I could not see.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. But again, I think that was part of me, for them opening me up to it. It's like, see, it's not that scary. It's not that, well, it depends on what you're looking at, but I think that was part of it. It was just part of the gentle push into that direction for me to take on my calling. And I mean, I it was a good year that the Lord really went out of his way to show. He had me write an entire book. I wrote an entire book in 3 months time. Eighth chapter, I still don't even know where that came from. I'm not good on physics, so I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Did you publish your book?
Well, that was the funny part. I got to the point where it was time to publish it, and I just stopped. And I went,
Oh,
wait a
come
minute.
on. Don't stop. Is it
And I,
still,
well,
where's it now?
I still have it on my computer, but it's like I was going, wait a minute. And I
You
was,
need to get it out there.
well,
I'm
I was
telling
getting the
you.
clear message. The only reason he had me write it was to show me how far I had come. I did not have
Oh,
the confidence to go into this myself. And so he was showing me at each, it's funny because when we started, when this part of my journey started out with the real bad, they started by showing us the best of the best. And my friend Colleen, who's been through all of this with me, she turned to me one day and she said, if we're seeing the best of the best now, at some point we will see the worst of the worst. And I was like, oh, I don't want to hear that. But she was absolutely right. And after every single case, something would happen that would be a blatant in my face, see, I've got your back. And I just kind of hang my head in shame. It's like, I know you do, but I don't want to do this. So it was tough. And yeah, I've still got the book and even started another one. And then I just stopped when I realized this is for me to realize that this is where you started. This is how far you've come. It's like, I got it, Lord. I understand.
I'm just going to go on the record and say I would love to see you finish that book because you've worked so hard on it already. And I think there's probably messages and the many messages in there that you don't even realize that will reach the ears of many people that need to hear those messages. And keep praying on it, and I think you'll get the answer, what you should do from here with that book. But it would be a shame for you not to share that for sure. And I'm with you 100%, even, and I'm older than you, and you don't look your age at all. You look like a child. Um, I wake up every morning and pray that I never work another demonic case. I
Yeah.
never have to take authority over another exorcism,
Yeah.
or assist on one. But it is what it is. So I came back from having worked on that project with you, and things have just been. Now I live in a haunted house, and it's usually pretty active here. Nothing crazy, nothing that my wife and I fear,
Right.
but it's been just really quiet since we got back, and it has felt different. And I'm wondering if something or several things followed me out there, and along with shedding all of that spiritual and emotional baggage and working on the project, if I left a lot of things there
I think you did.
that just released and left and didn't, weren't there to even follow me back, because it's been really pleasantly quiet here, which is cool. I like it like that.
I think, like you do, that with when you're going through all that turmoil, I mean, you're putting everything you've got energy wise out there, and there's nothing to hide. Everybody knows what you're going through, and I think you're right. I think you released a good bit of it.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and check off some boxes here. Then I got to get to some fan mail for you.
Mhm.
Many people in our field, and I'm sure you talk to them all the time. Many people in our field of deliverance ministry do not believe in ghosts. They believe angels, demons. That's it, and that's okay. I don't judge. Um, and perhaps the only reason why you and I believe is because we've experienced so much more of that prior to being on the path that we're on now. But just so I can check off the box, you believe in ghosts.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, you believe in demons. We've
Unfortunately, met a few.
yeah. Um. Oh, and I do have a fan did send me in a good question about that. Here it is. One fan wants to know how involved is the demonic in the world today? Any theories, however involved you feel they are or aren't, theories one way or another on that.
Okay, when I first started this, um, I would say, and I know I heard this before from somebody else too, that they would say that if anybody that was in the paranormal field, that you would have maybe a 5% chance of meeting something that was actually demonic. I don't know if that's true or not. I tried, like I said, to stay away from that as much as I could. But I would have to say now, even in the decade I've been doing this, I'd say that it's gone from maybe 45% chance. Now we're up to about a 75% chance. I think it is more likely than not that you can run into that. I just think the world is a lot more evil. I believe that Satan has been freed. I believe he roams this earth, and I believe he's got a heck of a lot of minions. He's got doing a lot of stuff that's hurting a lot of people.
I don't know if you caught last week's show. I had Donnie. I had Pastor Donnie Williams on, and Donnie believes it's end of times.
I do too.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's scary. That
Yeah.
now I've had two people that I highly respect and value their opinions both tell me that. I, I'm on the fence, and maybe I'm in a little bit of a denial because I've enjoyed my life so much. Uh, I don't fear death, and I know where I'm going when I die, and I look forward to seeing all my um, family and friends that have gone on before me that I know will be waiting there for me when I get there, along with all my dogs.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you know what? It's scary, scary times right now, and we could be. I talked so many people that come to me for help. They're already hanging on the edge, over the abyss,
Yeah.
hanging on emotionally by their fingernails. I try not to, you know, say things to them that I know is going to freak them out.
Right.
But yeah, it's scary times right now. It really, really is. And so let's talk about spirit possession. We know that we have both dealt with demonic possession before. And I have to tell you, more time than I care to admit, I have, and a lot of them are ghost hunters
Yeah.
that are new to the field. Some not new to the field, but some new to the field. They got into this because they saw it on TV. They thought it looked like a cool hobby to get into. They got into it with no real training,
Right.
no other experienced people on the team, no legitimately gifted psychic medium on the team. And they find themselves at the wrong place at the wrong time, saying and doing the wrong thing. They end up with an attachment. They don't do anything about the attachment. And for some reason, I'm finding some of these spirits have the ability to almost mimic demonic possession, where they are so attached to this person, they are able to jump in and out and take them over. And some of these people, I suspect, have the gift of almost like trance mediumship and don't realize it. Some not. Some I do think the spirit is just that powerful, and the person has no real spiritual defense against it. Um, do you have you encountered that much, and do you have any theories on some of these just disembodied human spirits now having the power to almost mimic demonic possession?
There are some, um, as I think you've probably heard before too, and I absolutely believe that the way a person dies when they die, whatever their personality was like in life, they pretty much take that with them in their essence. there are people that are just mean. There are people that are just, rude, and they can definitely, depending on the person, they would definitely think that, that maybe it is demonic. I know there's a big difference in the two. As you know, that the a true demonic entity, it can lift 500 pounds and throw it without breaking a sweat. A person, a spirit, a human spirit, 3 to 5 pounds max is all they're going to, and that's going to take an enormous amount of energy to do. So that's one of the ways you can kind of gauge whether or not, it's a legitimate demonic attack. If it's got like 6 times the strength of a normal human being, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I it's weird. Ever since that I've gotten into this part of the field, I don't get haunted houses anymore. I don't get that type of thing. I don't know why, but it's like if I get a call, and I think I told you before that if I see someone, and their eyes will go black, if they have a possession, I will know it. I see their eyes go black, and I know they have it, and I can feel it. It's just I don't even know how to describe the feeling, but it all works together for me, and I know they do. And that's pretty much the only kind of people that I get anymore. You'll have some sometimes that are maybe have psychological problems, that kind of thing, where they think that they're possessed and that. And then you're getting into like the disassociate, behavioral thing with, used to be the multiple personalities kind of thing. And I've had that happen. I've had a gentleman that had demonic possession, but he also had the multiple personalities. And one of his multiple personalities took on the mannerisms of the demon. It liked that demon so well. So even when we got that demon out, we were fighting this human thing, spirit, to get out, because it's crazy. I mean, there's so many variables that you have to look out for, that, and like I've learned all the time. There are things I never would have thought of that could actually possess a person, or it's just there's so much more to it than I had ever thought. I still learn every single case, and I've done over 200. So just never done learning.
You are one of only two people I know that have seen the black eyes. I haven't even seen it. I've seen many of the eyes roll back.
Yeah.
I've never seen the solid black. That's pretty frightening. I would imagine it's very frightening to see.
I know when I first got that gift, it was frightening when I'd be in a restaurant eating and I'd feel someone staring at me, and I'd turn around and their eyes are black and they're just staring at you because they can see your light.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh crap, I'm just here to eat, Just-
Maybe one of the reasons why I don't like being in crowds is because the same thing happens to me a lot that you see like in I'm thinking of the opening scene. Well, I think a couple of scenes into Poltergeist 2 with the
yeah,
little girls, walking at the store, and there's a crowd of people walking, but she sees the preacher guy walking just through people towards her.
yeah,
And that's how I notice I'm able to pick them out in a crowd, and they're always around following you. And I still haven't seen the black eyes, but you mentioning that, I have to ask you this only because I get a lot of calls for it. Once upon a time, it was just the black-eyed children,
right,
little girls, little boys, very aggressive. Um, Now you hear of stories of the black-eyed adults,
yep,
and now I get a lot of calls. And the one thing they have in common is that they're all very aggressive.
yeah,
Do you think, along with poltergeist, like everybody that calls me, uh, I have a demon or I have a poltergeist? And most of the time, it turns out to just be either a disembodied human spirit. In both cases, the reason why people think they have a poltergeist, they see levitation or things
right,
moving. I don't start worrying about it being a demon until things get violent.
right,
So, having said that, I have people encountering these black eyed entities, and I'm on the fence with what they may or may not be. I also have these people lots of people reaching out to me, being approached in the middle of the night, being woken up. Either they're being approached during a dream, or they're woken up just out of a dead sleep and they're still somewhat in a dream state, but they're being visited by all these different types of entities, some that come to them and present themselves as interdimensional beings or aliens, and they take them off to show them other worlds. Some are very sexual, like either incubus or succubus.
Mhm.
Some are very violent. Um, what do you think these black? Do you have any theories on what you think the black-eyed uh,
I
people apparitions are?
I do. And again, this is just my theory. From what I have, this is just what I've come up with. Back, I'm trying to think of when the Black Eyed Children thing started coming out. Wasn't it like 2004, 2003, something like that?
They've been around a long time, and that's another thing they have in common. They're
Yeah,
still around. They
right.
haven't gone anywhere. I
Well,
just
that's where
yeah.
my theory comes in. See, I think people don't give themselves enough credit for what they can create through their mind. You give enough thought and enough energy to something, you can actually make an entity, which is, I think, what a poltergeist is. I think that's part of it anyway. But look at things like, remember back, oh gosh, now I don't know how long ago it was, but with the Slender Man thing that started on the internet as a big, thing, and people started putting enough stock into it. They put a lot of their energy into it. They went out searching for it. My God, they were killing things to try to show that they were worthy of it. And now you can actually go out there and there's people that have like film footage and stuff like that of something that looks a lot like it. And I think you can do that. I've asked my guides about it, and my guides, because I thought, what is going on here with this? You hear about it on the internet or a challenge type thing that people put out there. Enough people start doing it, you put enough thought into it, enough energy into it, and all of a sudden now that's actually happening. And I think that that's part of it, that we don't know how our minds, what they're capable of doing. The energy and thought that we put into something can actually create something if you done it enough, or enough people are doing it and creating it. um, I know that's probably sounds really weird to people, but I can't understand how else these things start from cartoons or something like that and then all of a sudden blow up into an actual entity. Now, when I asked my guides about it, they said yes. They said that as absolutely does happen. And I said, well, what would happen if we all sat back, thought as much, and put as much energy into something of light to, versus the things of darkness that people are putting their minds and stuff into? Would it create essentially a good being that could take on this? And they said yes, absolutely. You just have to get up enough people who want to think about good things
Yeah.
instead of the bad. And that's where we're at.
That's why people wonder why people like you and I, they constantly hear us say uh, the power of prayer,
Amen.
and uh, and that it comes from that. I know what I want to ask you. Just
Mhm.
as though there's so many people reaching out to me now that are new to the field, paranormal investigators that are now having some issues,
Yep.
and I get this call a lot. So let's pretend Rita just got a phone call. Um, Hi, Rita. My name is John Doe, and I want to be an exorcist. I want to be a demonologist. Can you teach me? Now I'll just shut up and let you answer the question.
Well, let me ask you a few questions, John Doe. Do you have a family?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Are they anywhere near where you're at? Are you living at home? Do you have, a wife? Do you have kids? If you do, I'd say forget it. I'd honestly say forget it, because whatever tries to attack us will attack your family. When they can't get to you because you are all prayered up and you've got your armor on, stuff like that, they will go to your friends. They will go to your family. They will kill your pets. They will do anything they can to knock you down. I, I don't have a lot of friends just because of that. I don't
Absolutely.
want them being attacked. All the friends I had were getting attacked. So I kind of put myself, not because I feel like I'm better than anybody, but because I'm trying to protect people. I do what I do because the Lord asked me to do it. And he gives me the strength. He gives me the tools I need to fight it. They tell me what it is I need to know and I use it. But as far as that goes, we've all got to, minute you become an exorcist, or God forbid you become one of our clients, you are marked for life. There is no getting around that. If you decide, well, I'm going to stop this today, it doesn't stop. It will follow you for the rest of your life. That's the way it is. And you've got to be ready for that. Do I suggest that someone of a younger age set out to be an exorcist? I'm sorry, I just don't. I there's people that have I've got a 2 and 3 year old at home, but it's okay. They're home with mom. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to bring this to your family? That's just me. I want to protect them. I know what these things can do, and unless you are ready for this, I mean, it has to be a calling. You know that, Sean. It has to be your calling. Otherwise, it will get to you.
I always tell people when they call me and ask me that, I say if you had to ask me that,
Yes.
then you're not meant to do this. And
Uh,
I'm not, and I try not to make them feel bad or like I'm demeaning them or they're not up to the
right.
challenge. I just say, listen, take my course. You learn how to fight them. And
Yes.
if you have a passion for the paranormal, put together a team, get some training, and do that.
Yeah,
Baby steps first, but you don't just like I said, I never woke up one day and said I want to be an exorcist.
that's
And
exactly what I've always said too. Is I'm pretty sure I never said I when I grow up I want to be an exorcist. That is so foreign.
let me see what else I got here on this list here before I ask you a half a dozen more stuff I want to ask you. Um, oh, this is a good one. Someone wants to know. I think you're probably the first exorcist I've met who is also a light healer. For the life of me, I can't think of another one that I personally know. That sounds so interesting. I know you're gifted. Talk to me about that part of you, Rita, the light healer. I'd like to know about that. And obviously, this person would like to know about that too. They must have noticed that in your bio, and they think that that is so cool. How did you? How did that awakening come to you that you had that gift?
Well, back about 10 years ago or so, I had a really good friend who became a shaman. Well, he was a shaman, but he became the shaman for my team. And I learned a lot from him. And I soon learned that I could do Reiki, and it was seemed to be very effective for me. But even at the times where I was doing the Reiki, it kept going through my head. But why don't I just ask Jesus to help me do this? Because he's so much stronger than anything that we have. And I kept thinking, Jesus is there. He's my gosh, he's been, showing me he's got my back. So I know he's paying attention. And I just started talking to Jesus about it and just started asking him for that when I was to give healing to someone, if he would put his hand on my shoulder and give me that healing through him to push through me. I'm just his vessel. That's all I've ever been is his vessel. And he does that. And I can feel it when I first ask for, the help in healing this person. I can feel his energy. I can feel it. In fact, he's here right now. We're talking about him, but I can always feel when he steps into me to do something. I can feel it. I can feel it from my feet all the way up to right above my knees, and I feel this like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a tingling sensation, I should say, but it's very strong. I know when he leaves. I know when he steps in. When I start blessing items, he steps in every time. I feel it every time because I always ask for his blessing on them. So um, I just ask for his, help and guidance in doing this so that I can help relieve the person of whatever problem they're having. Now, some people, we have to understand it, and this was hard for me to understand, was that some people can't be completely healed. I can take and make their situation a little better, but this is something that they're supposed to go through for whatever reason. It's their learning, or maybe they're becoming a healer. I know as a healer, we go through a lot of things. Like we have to feel like what a lot of other people feel like. So when they come to me and say, I've got this most intense pain that nobody understands. Yes, I do. Been there, done that. So, and I'm not, that's not to say I've experienced everything. I haven't, but I'm still experiencing things. And it's part of being a healer. I can always feel the energy as it courses through me. I can feel it coming out of my hands. My hands will get extremely hot, and it helps the person. And that's, to me, that is such a blessing to be able to help someone out of pain, because that's some of our most awful moments as being human, is when we have to somehow learn to live with the pain. And if I can ease that for someone, even if it's for just a time, or if I can completely take that away from them, to me that's like one of my happiest moments. I love being able to do that to help them.
You are definitely a very special lady. I so hope you and I get to work together
I
again.
do too.
Oh my gosh, 3 minutes left. I told you the hour flies by. I am
Yes.
so, I'll have to sit down and talk with my producer. Let me give her a quick shout out, Adrian Hart. She's known in the. I didn't get a chance. We were kind of rushed
Yeah.
getting your signal in at the beginning. I didn't give you a chance
Thank
to meet
you, my
her.
tablet.
Her name is Adrian Hart. She's beautiful, passionate, talented. She's got a new assistant, live-in assistant, who that's what I'll say on that. His name is Zach, and they work together now on producing my show. They do a bang up job.
Oh,
But um, yeah, I hope we get to work together again.
too.
I love you. I respect you.
Love
You're
you
on my
too.
prayer list. Thank you so much for being here. Did you have fun when you come back?
Absolutely love to anytime.
Well, I'm going to talk to I got to check with my producer and see what her schedule is like. But so many people have said, you know what, you need to go to a longer show. An hour is not long enough. I don't know where it'll go with that. But having said that, thank you so much for taking an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon to
You for
spend with me. Um, like I said, I pray for you all the time. I can't wait to see you again. And I will talk to you very soon, okay?
Can I say one last thing really quick?
Please do.
For those people of yours from your show that need help, that have little kids, maybe that need just to be able to take their power back because they're waking up at night and they're saying things are bothering them, I have a recipe for what I call Deem Away, and it will help take clear out of a room for like 8 hours for that thing. And I would put it in a little spray bottle, and I will be happy to send it to them. I don't charge anybody anything for anything I do. So if there, you got anybody that needs some help that way, I'll be happy to help them.
God bless you. I know I can feel that I already helped some people. Thank you so much, Rita.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful remainder to your Friday. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay. Bye
Good
bye.
night. Oh my gosh, I love her. Rita Strugala Lagrow, Exorcist, Light Healer. You trust me, you haven't seen or heard the last of her. I hope I get to work with her again real soon. Matter of fact, I want to do this for each and every one of you. For everybody within the sound of my voice that can also see me, I am lighting a candle for each and every one of my paranormal ministry family and all the people out there that are watching and listening that might need some help. May the Holy Spirit enter and intervene and stay on everybody's shoulder like their own personal guardian angel for the remainder of your journey and your path until you all go on to heaven. And if you are Catholic or Christian and believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, if you have children that are being menaced in the middle of the night by something you can't see, get a little squirt gun. Go and fill that up with holy water and have your priest bless it and keep it handy and tell them they can squirt the bad guy away with that. This candle will continue to burn for each and every one of you until it burns out. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Once again, thank you to my producer, Adrian Hart, and her assistant, Zach. And Things Network, Paranormal United Network. Um, I'll be here next week with another live show. Oh my gosh, Dr. Joy Pugh will be here next Friday. You guys are going to love her. Stop the violence, stop the anger, Anger is a punishment we put on ourselves for somebody else's mistakes. So, God bless you all. Have a blessed week. Stay blessed. You're all on the prayer list. I love you all. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. Peace.